Nate G219 to help it back and better. Y'all know what it is. Another one coming at y'all. First, hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit that channel if you want to help out. This morning is Sunday, September 29th, about 8 o'clock. But you know, that's the irrelevance of today. It's the irrelevance of the video. It means nothing. Doesn't matter when I've recorded this. Doesn't matter. But for those that want to know, it's Sunday morning here. Nice and early. I might have a second one coming later on. I don't know. We'll see what the day folds or brings to me. Got some things I've got to do. But anyways, today I'm going to be bringing you a story from my buddy Tommy. I've told you stories about Tommy. At the young age of 18, he caught a sentence, or he was convicted of unaliving somebody, and they gave him 3 years shy of the maximum, which the maximum is 65 years. So 62 years at 85%, you do the math. It's, 50-something year sentence, which is virtually a life sentence. Even if he does come home after that 85% served, his mentality is going to be destroyed even more so than it is already. And today, I'm just going to be telling you one of the stories he told me. I'm also going to be probably telling you about one of the things I had witnessed, but I'm going to bring you Tommy's first. And this is out of Miami Correctional Facility. Now, right now, Miami Correctional Facility, although is a level 3, it's got everywhere from a level 1 to a level 4, and people that should be in lockup in it, and it's running wild. It's short-staffed. It's population to the fullest, and the drugs are everywhere. All right. The gangs, another thing, everywhere. So when you got organizations, gangs, and all of that running the yard, and yes, the prison does control what you do and where you sleep and where you eat and all that, but the ins and outs of what happens throughout the day is ran by prisoners, and everybody knows that. So with the drugs being plentiful, usually people, don't just have pockets of money. That's not how it works in prison. Money is used, there's different ways to send money. There's Cash App, of course, which I'm sure most people prefer. But there's also Canteen, where you're paying money in food. And, when I left, 3 soups was $1, 33 cents a piece. I've heard they've gone up. I don't know. But it doesn't matter. That's how it is, though. You pay with food or you pay Cash App. You're paying one way or another. But when somebody's addicted to drugs, a lot of times they will put themselves out there too far. They'll extend themselves out to a length that they can't get themselves back. Sorry, I had to hit the douche stick, but yeah, they'll run themselves up into a debt because everything is ran on, not everything, but a majority of things are ran on a credit scale. So on Monday, Tony's going to give Stevie this, but on Friday, Tony gave Stevie two soups on Monday. Friday, Stevie owes Tony 3 soups or 4 soups, depending on how the credit's done. And that's whatever there is. Now, if you're paying cash on the wood, you're getting it cheaper. You're getting it at a discount price. You're sending somebody Cash App money, you are going to get a good amount. But when you're getting fronted and you're running up debts, now the people will let you get into a very, very deep debt. Now, there's an infamous booty bandit, and he's called Big Panties. I'm just going to use that. That is an infamous booty bandit. Big Panties is his nickname. We're going to call this man Big Panties because I know Big Panties has a life sentence. Whoever he is, if he ever existed, I don't know if there is a real Big Panties. Nobody I've ever personally met, but there's several men that have been referred to as Big Panties. And that's just the big guy that will knock you out and take your cheeks if he wants to. Now, Big Panties runs a very lucrative empire in Miami Correctional Facility. He sells the drugs, he sells food, he sells everything. So when somebody owes him $100 or $200 on store day, it's nothing to see 3 or 4 people in a line to walk to a man's cell that's got it like that. That's, hustling beyond hustle. Like that's got everything. They're gonna sell the dope. They're gonna sell the cigarettes. They're gonna sell the food. They're running everything, and a lot of people go to them and are their middleman for things. But I'm gonna tell you about a story about a little guy named Kevin who found himself deep in debt. I want to say about $200-300, maybe $400 is the amount I was told. I was told a few different stories, so prices of money may fluctuate, but it was somewhere between the range of $300 and $500. He had found himself in debt. Look, Kevin was not built like that. Look, Kevin was a heroin addict. Look, Kevin was not a part of any organization, and if I don't think there would have been an organization willing to take that type of man. Now, somebody that's a heroin addict, addicted to drugs, is frowned upon inside the prison. They're taken advantage of quite a bit, and especially when they are young white boys. And look, Kevin wasn't but 19 years old. And like I said, he wasn't cut like that. Look, Kevin was in prison is in prison for burglaries, residential entries, things that were non-violent, but, sometimes you find yourself at a place that you just can't mitigate the situations around you, especially when you've got an addiction. That's why the drugs, the gangs, the gambling, you just want to steer clear of that if you find yourself inside of a prison in any state, anywhere across the world. I'm sure you do not want to find yourself in that, and so especially if you're addicted to drugs, because you're not looked at like a true man. Especially if it's one thing if you went there addicted to drugs and got yourself cleaned and you're cleaning yourself up, but if you're still running around trying to get yourself high and do all that, and you're running yourself up in the funnies, and when I mean running yourself up in the funnies, I'm talking about getting fronted $300 and $400 worth of things from one person, another 200 from that person, another 100 from that person, and one of these is Big Panties. You got the other guys that are gonna beat you up. Most of the time people will let you work out a payment plan, but time was up, and Big Panties had told Kevin, if you don't have my money by this day, you're not going to like the result of what happens. Now, what I'm going to tell you is very graphic. It's coming from a third party, and there were people that witnessed what happened inside the room. All I can tell you is what Tommy witnessed. And I take Tommy's word pure as can be, because Tommy has been down for a minute now, 10 years. And he's seen a lot of things, and luckily has never been victimized. He's gonna let himself be unalived before anything like that. Plus, you know, one, he doesn't do drugs. Never has, never will. He holds himself very high on not doing the drugs, especially in prison. The hard drugs, like, I'm sure he partied when he was a kid, but as far as hard drugs, heroin, cocaine, stuff like that, just not something Tommy's done. And he frowns upon those that do. Now, Tommy is a part of an organization that is a white organization. It's prison. He's got a lot of time to do, and what he had witnessed this day was something he couldn't even do, reach out to help the little Kevin. Little Kevin being that young white boy that was addicted to drugs. Now, when you're a part of an organization, they hold themselves highly, usually, when it comes to the drugs. You're not to be using or associating with those that are using the drugs. It's one thing if you're selling them, but you're not to be using them drugs. It's one thing if you're smoking some weed, and some of them, a lot of them, depending on what kind of K2 it is. Like I said, when I had left, there was an option of what kind you got. If you were just smoking the stuff that was like smoking some weed, you know, most organizations didn't really care, but some of them very, very strict on it. But anyways, look, Kevin found himself, you know, deep in debt. And that Friday came, and look, Kevin walked up into the room, knocked on the door. Hey, yo, Panties, you know, I got to talk to you, man. And, you know, look, Kevin always smiling, never took things too serious, and didn't quite understand the severity of what he had put himself into. Now, Panties affiliated, highly ranked in his organization. Not sure what the organization is. Doesn't matter. Highly respected man, though. But he's known to take them cheeks. Now, look, Kevin is coming to tell him that he doesn't have his money. So, well, Kevin tells him, you know, Panties, I don't have your money. I'm sorry, I'm going to be doing this. Panties said, everybody out, except you, look, Kevin. Look, Kevin stood there smiling, thinking everything's sweet. The only one that's going to be sweet for is Panties. So, everybody cleared out, and Big Panties was a big man. Little Kevin was a little man named Kevin. I don't know that his name was Kevin, but look, Kevin works. I was told his size, and I mean, maybe $130, $140. Big Panties weighing in a good 270, 275 maybe. 6'2", large gentleman. This other boy stood no chance. So he gets snatched up. Look, Kevin gets snatched up, and he gets bent over, and his head gets put in between. All right, there's doors. It's not a bar setup. It's a newer prison, one of the newer ones in Indiana, So it's got a solid steel door. And Kevin was bent over, head out the door, and a couple of panties homies held the door closed with little Kevin's head sticking out. Not enough to choke him, not enough to cut off any circulation, but enough to not let the man fall to the ground either. And he was smiling like, quit playing, quit playing, quit playing. And there was no play about it. Big Panties took them cheeks and left little Kevin's face on display for everybody to see. Now, Tommy told me about the horrifying look and the horrifying sound, but something that you're gonna never forget is something like that. Now, I'm talking about just seeing it. God only knows what little Kevin's gone through, what he could have possibly contracted because he was addicted to drugs. So when I'm telling you these stories, guys, you know, I'm not making up any stories. It's really hard to fact check any Indiana stories unless you know somebody in any of these facilities. It's really hard to fact check it. But I know people in these facilities that are not going to be telling me BS stories to steer me the wrong way. And I did actually have this confirmed by a buddy of mine. Diesel wants to say hi to the camera. Come here, bud. Never mind, he just wants to play. But, yeah, guys. You never know what's going to happen, man. That's why you never want to forget life's choices. You don't know what kind of door that's going to be holding your head. If you got an addiction, you need to conquer that. And, you know, going to prison, I was salty as hell, but it helped me conquer that portion of my addiction. Now, there were a lot more things I had to deal with mentally afterwards, after coming home, being clean and stuff like that, but, you know, still haven't went back to that heroin, never will. And, you know, to this day, Panties lives life luxurious. Is whatever luxury he has, he doesn't care what kind of charges he gets. He's serving all day then some, meaning he's not going home. Look, Kevin's still got some time to go, but Tommy said that he'd never seen little Kevin again. So this was a couple years ago, maybe a year ago, but never saw little Kevin again. But everybody in that dorm, 100 some odd people probably, knew what was happening to little Kevin. It was very clear. But hey guys, hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit that channel if you want to help out. And you know, if they ain't hating it, you ain't making it. Peace.